Okay, so hello everybody. It is Noda again. I'm not doing the rantiness today. I'm not feeling like ranting today. I just want to address a point that was made over and over and over and over and over again in both video comment sections that I feel warrants a response, but does not warrant like a high energy response. It's just kind of like one of those things where people just kind of interpret facts into existence without really thinking about it. There's some inference there that's happening that's just wrong. So I'm going to present this firstly to you. People have been saying more or less over and over again, well, you see, Noda, you are wrong, because they could actually just march through Cyrodiil without anybody stopping them, because the White-Gold Concordat allows them to do so. Okay, first of all, no, it doesn't do that. The White-Gold Concordat's terms are very clearly spelled out to us in the game, and none of them involve the thalmor can just move through Cyrodiil without impunity. But number two, what you're talking about, where there's thalmor operating in Skyrim, is something that came after the Markarth incident, when the thalmor demanded that they be allowed to send people into Skyrim to make sure that the terms of the White-Gold Concordat were being followed. Okay, they are not part of the White-Gold Concordat. That's not part of the treaty. Number two, it's only mentioned twice in game. This provision that was made after the Markarth incident. It's only mentioned twice. It's mentioned by Elenwen at the Thalmor embassy, which is the one that most people see, and she basically says, "Oh, I'm in charge of all of the Thalmor in Skyrim, all of them. I oversee the justiciars," she says. The justiciars, specifically. That's the word she uses. And then it's mentioned again, and this is the one that players don't see a lot, is Flight from the Thalmor. It's one of the books in the game. I know you haven't read it. It's written by Heydrich Oakenhart. And in it, he actually he talks about the Markarth incident, and he talks about the terms of the treaty, and he talks about the worship of Talos, and he says some very specific things. He says, "Now here's something most of my kinsmen are unaware of. Not all Thalmor and Skyrim are equal in station or purpose." So he's specifying Skyrim. And then a little bit later on, he says, "These are the justiciars. It is their job to enforce this, the most terrible of conditions of the White-Gold Concordat." Okay. We have two things. One, both characters, Elenwen and this Nord, are specifying Skyrim. There's been absolutely zero mention of any of the other provinces or Cyrodiil itself having a Thalmor presence. I would think that the Imperial City probably has an embassy, a Thalmor embassy, but that's about it. There's no indication that they would want them in any other provinces, and that the Empire would agree to that. Skyrim is the only one that has the big dick upsetty spaghetti, and had the Markarth incident, and then the two people that we have are specifying Skyrim. So, inference-wise, there's nothing pointing towards them being in Cyrodiil. There's no mention of that anywhere in the game, as far as I'm aware. Number two, they specify justiciars. Both of them specify justiciars. There's justiciars in Skyrim. So there's no army having here. There's no army having in Skyrim. They have forts. They have inquisitors. They have soldiers working for the Inquisition. They don't have an army. So if the so marching an army through Cyrodiil is probably not allowed, even with the provision, as far as we're aware. There's nothing to indicate that that's a thing. You guys are kind of just making that up. But for the sake of argument, let's say theoretically that for some reason that is allowed, and they can actually send an army. Both sides have reasons not to, and very strong reasons not to. For one, the Imperials are letting an army march through here within like fucking a spitting distance of the Imperial City, completely uncontested, and being able to basically shore again. So they're able to land in Anvil, and then they walk over to past the Imperial City. And Coral, and Bruma, and Kvatch, and Anvil, these are all important heartland cities that the Thalmor could do some of their tricky magic bullshit with. The Imperials, above all things, as has been indicated historically here, ever since Morrowind was left to basically die, they're self-preservative. They wouldn't let this happen. They don't want an army near the Imperial City for what might happen, okay? But let's say, okay, well, let's assume that the Imperial City is not at threat at all. Let's say that that's not even a consideration for the Empire. Great. They still have another reason. Why on earth would they let the Thalmor conquer Skyrim of all places and give the Thalmor a northern flank on them for the next war? And also deprive them of the possible Nord volunteers, orc volunteers, because we know that orcs in the strongholds up north venture south to join the Imperial legions. We know that there are still loyal Nords who will venture south and volunteer for the Imperial legions. We know that it is extremely likely that the Stormcloaks will help. Not specifically the Empire, but because they want to defeat the Somerset Isles and the Thalmor. Okay? So why would they let them do that? If they're self-preservative and they're thinking strategically, they wouldn't let that happen. Now, the Thalmor also have reasons for not wanting to do this. There's two specific areas that you can get into Skyrim from. You can get in through here, right here, there's a mountain pass here, and then there's like one roundabouts here near Riften. During the Civil War, the Riften one was completely blocked off by the Stormcloaks, and the one near Falkreath had an avalanche and was similarly completely blocked off. Here's the thing. If they're prone to avalanches and getting blocked up, the Stormcloaks can block them up intentionally, for one. They could do that if they really wanted to. But number two, the Thalmor are we're going in here, we're going to conquer Skyrim because apparently the Empire is just not following its own MO now. It's not preserving itself, and it doesn't want... It wants the Stormcloaks to lose so much, it's willing to lose a future ally. Potentially. Great. Here's the problem for the Thalmor. The Thalmor are abundantly fucking aware that these mountain passes are pretty persnickety, and the Imperials could just kind of like march up here and block it behind them the second that they're in. And then now there's an entire Thalmor army stuck up there with no baggage train, no supplies. They're going to starve to death after a couple seasons, and they're stuck up there with a shitload of angry Nords who really want to beat the shit out of them. That's a win scenario for the Empire, because if the Thalmor are sending an army that's big enough to conquer Skyrim, they're sending a very sizable piece of their forces. Losing it all to the Stormcloaks, and basically making the Stormcloaks have even more reason to fight with Cyrodiil when the Somerset Isles almost inevitably declares war again, because they're like, holy shit, you just fucking like trapped one of our armies up there. That's still a win. That's still a win. You still now have a scenario where an entire Thalmor army is going to get fucked, and then Skyrim has a reason to actually help even more, and they go down south. That's a win scenario. What are you talking about, guys? That's not a bad thing. So the Thalmor wouldn't want to do that. They're smart enough to know if we go through a mountain pass that we don't have complete fucking control over, the Imperials can just block it up behind us. So, no. The Thalmor would not march an army through fucking Cyrodiil unless they had conquered it, okay? And no, the Empire wouldn't let it happen. Don't be ridiculous. That's cope. That is 100% cope. I swear to God. You guys need to like fucking read literally any of the lore. Specifically that one book. Anyway, laters.